Matthew 2 verses 1 to 12. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for it is written by the prophet. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was born. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. When I read this, I can't help but think about the school nativity. Maybe you had the three kings, you got some shepherds hanging out by some hay bales, Mary and Joseph, maybe some angels, and if you're lucky, some barnyard animals singing a song. But when we actually look at the words, we see it's actually quite different. Nowhere does it actually reference them as kings. We've assumed that because of the gifts that they brought were of great value. It refers to them as wise men. And nowhere does it actually say there were three of them. We've just seen that again because of the three gifts. And unfortunately, we all have this image of them meeting in a stable, but it's not actually true. They met Jesus at a later date in a house. So our great festive Christmas nativity has taken a bit of poetic license, but there is still so much in this that we can learn from. You see, the Magi, as they were known, or the wise people, were in that day the world's greatest intellects. They were astrologers, magicians, but also the greatest minds that the world had to offer. Now, what's fascinating in Matthew is that nowhere else in the whole Bible, Old or New Testament, or astrologers or magicians talked about positively. In fact, it's quite the opposite. These were often people drawing the people of God away from their true faith. But here in Matthew, they're the heroes, which I find fascinating. You see, these people were intellectually and spiritually curious, but not of the same faith of the people of Israel. And right at the inception of Christianity, this wide open door is open to people who do not yet belong to the faith. They're saying to people, if you are intellectually or spiritually curious, you are welcome to discover Jesus. And in our society today, I think there's so many people like that. They're curious to find out more about the Savior of the world. You might not belong to the Christian faith yet, but just like the wise men, you can approach Jesus to find out more about him. So how can you do that in this Christmas season? Well, just do it like the wise men did. Firstly, they came to ask questions, not to find fault. You see, they found Jesus in Bethlehem, a tiny village, and probably born into poverty. Now, these wealthy men expected him to be found in the palace, but they didn't find fault. They came with an open heart. So maybe you can do the same thing. Don't come to Christianity looking to find fault, but come with an open heart. Secondly, they came with humility. The gifts that they got were not only expensive, but in their times they represented honor. With their gifts, they were saying that we honor you more than we honor ourselves. We value you higher and esteem you better than ourselves. It was an incredible step of faith. And may I remind you, Jesus had done no miracles, spoken no wise words, but these wise men were curious enough and had faith enough to approach Jesus as the Son of God. So wherever you are at this Christmas time, if you're intellectually or spiritually curious about the things of faith, know that Jesus welcomes you. You don't have to be born into a Christian family. You can come from a completely different background. This Christmas, Jesus is available to you and willing to meet you where you're at.